I need, people always want me to answer their questions in 30 fucking seconds, and I can't. I can't answer some of these AI questions in 30 seconds. But by the end of this, you'll say, wait a minute, I don't even work in the computer science field. Why am I listening to this? Hang on. And at first, they really like what I have to say, and then 15 minutes later, they're ready to throw me out by my ear. And they're like, gee, that went bad. What happened? It's because, okay, we're good. In 3, 2, 1. All right, greetings, friends. So I have a really interesting video for you today that I decided I wasn't even going to make a video on this, but I was wondering what should I make a video about? But in my personal life, I've been asked about this so many times lately about AI, the job market. Where's it going? And of course, I'm a spiritual person, so I kind of talk about both sides of the coin. And I think people are not going to like it, but I find them going, whoa, I didn't realize that everything was so connected. So people come to me with concerns about AI and the job market. It always comes down to jobs. A lot of people are concerned about that in the future. What kind of jobs other kids going to be able to get? Am I going to lose my job in the next couple years? There's a great deal of people that are seriously concerned they could lose their job in the next couple of years. This video will make you feel better. I'm going to shed some light on some hot topic issues. If you follow my channel, and then you probably realize, and I'm not trying to bring it up. Matter of fact, I rarely do, unless it's something relevant to what we're talking about. But I do work in the computer science field. I have a degree in computer science. I don't really like to talk about that because that's not what this channel is all about. But before we go any further, I want you to understand the premise of what is really going on here with this AI and all this, and then data centers too. People are talking about data centers. I'm going to get to some spirituality stuff. If you're here saying, wait a minute, Sir Oinksalot, when do we get spirituality? Yeah, so, okay, let's just dive in. So, because of my professional background, because of what I do for a living, people are always asking me about AI, and I see a lot of people get it, and then there's a lot of people that have serious fears out there, and then even serious things about, is this the beginning of the end? Where's the Antichrist come into play? All that. Let's just dive right into it, because the first thing you need to know for this conversation, and we're going to build. We're going to start easy, and then we're going to build. And hopefully by the end of this, you're going to understand some things about AI. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Us humans are really good at figuring out how to convert it from one thing to another. The thing you live in your home, you have electricity, for example. It's always an example that I always use. You look at a power plant and people say, oh, they're making electricity. And it's like, I don't correct them. I don't say anything, but I'm just like, stop, that drives me nuts. It's copper wiring. I'm not going to get too detailed into it, but I've spent many years studying electricity. But it's copper spools spinning in a magnetic field, and it flips from north to south constantly. And we use hertz to make that measurement, and so we're not creating energy at the power plant. Okay, we're converting it. You take like a dam or something that turns a turbine, even nuclear power plants. It still comes down to you're heating stuff up, you're creating steam. This sounds like something from 1910, and it's kind of still is. Anyway, it turns the turbine, turns the spool. Anyway, technically it doesn't even generate electricity. It's something else, but we'll save that for another time. But let's just go with, we're taking energy and we're transforming it. This is the point. This is all going to come together. People always want me to answer their questions in 30 fucking seconds, and I can't. I can't answer some of these AI questions in 30 seconds. But by the end of this, you'll be right there. So hang with me. So this electricity flows, and then it allows us to live our life, have air conditioning, whatever, watch this video. But just real quick, if you're curious to know, it flips from north to south, what is it, 60 times a second, so we go by 60 hertz in the US. So when you look at your light bulb, it's actually not a continuous flow of electricity. It's an alternating current from north to south, north to south. And so your light bulb actually flickers, but your human eye can't see it. You see, it looks like your light bulb's constantly on, but it's not, it's flickering. And sometimes if you take a picture, and I've taken pictures, like I have a Christmas, my nephew was standing in front of a Christmas tree, and I took a picture. It looks like half the lights are out on the Christmas tree, but they're not. That's when the shutter picked up, the aperture picked up, not the shutter, the aperture picked up when it was out, it was flickering. And so it looks like your Christmas lights are out. That is not the point of this video. For all my, some of the people are tech people and they like to hear this shit. But the important part is energy can't be created or destroyed. It can just be converted. That's what I'm trying to say. The job market is no different. People have such a fear about this, and people say, well, AI is taking everybody's job. No, it's not. And I've seen the commercials where, a guy's bouncing a tennis ball and his computer's doing all this work, and then he's like, you want to go to lunch? Sure. And it's like, and people are thinking, wait a minute, I don't need a degree in computer science. I just need to know AI. If you think that for a second, you're failing miserably. For example, where I work, we use that, and we run pipelines, and then we run the pipelines, and you still have to know all these things. You can't just be like, well, I don't know anything about computer science really, but I know how to use AI really well, so I can get a job in the computer science field. No, you can't. It doesn't work that way. AI is changing. The way I do my job has changed incredibly. And I'm going to get to some common fears, but you have to understand these things. Why are people afraid? Why are data centers wanting to? I'm not advocating for data centers. I'm not against them. I'm not for them. I'm just trying to bring things to light so that people can see and make their own freaking decision. I'm not trying to make decisions for people, ever. A year ago, we used to run at a time. And these pipelines, if you're familiar with like a Word document and you create a macro, that's kind of like a pipeline, only you can take massive amounts of data with you and move it along, and it does things along the way. You can make changes to code, and then you push this, we always call them peer reviews, but I guess they're pull requests. And anyway, so the other day we had our, why? Because lines running at once, doing all these massive things. A year ago, that was absolutely unheard of. So AI is not, I can't see where AI is taking anybody's jobs unless you're a graphic designer for a small firm or something. Then, maybe, it depends what you were doing and stuff, but there will be another place for you. It's not like you're just going to spend the rest of your life on unemployment or something. So the job market is changing. 2 years ago, somebody come in, they had a nice degree in computer science, they met all the requirements, we'd hire them. Today, questions come up like, how are you using Claude? How are you using Codex? If people don't know what the hell you're talking about, they're not going to get hired in a computer science job. just that fast, regardless of their degree. But you really need both. You may say, wait a minute, I don't even work in the computer science field. Why am I listening to this? Hang on. So the job market is like energy. It can't be created or destroyed. It's just constantly changing. I mean, at one time, there was the job of a person to go around in the city and light all the lamps and then put them out later. And it's, my God, and there's other people involved, and there's people that make the little poles that, you know, they go out and you put out the flame and all that crap. So all this is shutting down now. Well, yeah, but look at all the jobs it's creating. When I was in high school, one of the factories around here got just this little bitty CNC machine, which is computerized numerical control, if you don't know. And everybody in where I live was up in arms because there's a lot of factories around here. And, you know, it was just like, my God, nobody's going to have any factory jobs anymore. A lot of towns, a lot of neighborhoods, it was like everybody worked at the same factory here where I live. And they thought, my God, you know, this is all going away in 5 years. Well, today, one of the factories that I'm familiar with, I used to do business with, but not anymore. That was in my manufacturing days. When I was operations manager. Now I go in there and I just randomly thought, I'm like, you know, when I was in high school, they said all these jobs would be gone, and I think they employ like 4,000 people. And you go in there, and yes, there are computers and machines doing everything, but also there are teams of people running around. There's teams of people running around in carts that would do nothing but change the blades on all these machines. Then there was another team of people that would go around, and as soon as one machine broke down, they'd fix another. And these are all high-paying jobs. People had degrees in computer science or some kind of, I know you can get like certificates in CNC and all this crap, and that's great. That's what these people were. These are nice jobs. And so nothing ever really got replaced. I mean, it did get replaced, but it was just changing. Just like if you've seen the movie Other People's Money, it reminds me, you know, Danny DeVito and Gregory Peck, I believe, is who played in that. And, you know, Danny DeVito was this terrible person, and he was wanting to fire everybody. But that's not necessarily true. He was just, he understood what I'm trying to say is that it's just changing. And some changes are for the worst, I admit, but yeah, his speech was, look, at one time we needed buggy makers, and there were companies that made buggy whips. And as those companies went under more and more, you know, probably the last company that was hanging in there, they probably made the best goddamn buggy whip ever. But they finally went under. And so what happened to all those people? You think they're all working at McDonald's or something? No, they're catching on. And that's why AI is not going to replace people. AI is going to replace people in the field of computer science who don't use AI. Yeah, absolutely. But like I said about the pipelines, you know, why do we need data centers all of a sudden? Well, when you're running 5 pipelines to suddenly, and they bog down and they stop, you're cranking out more data. You know, things that used to take a month now only take a couple days. That's true, but expectations are greater, and so much is changing. A matter of fact, you know, when you design a piece of software and you say, I got the best looking UI. It's the easiest to read, the UI that we've created for our software. And we have a team of people that created this this UI. 5 years from now, nobody's going to give a shit because they're going to ask their AI system, you know, like a doctor comes in and says, you know, he said, hey, I don't care about navigating here and there and seeing this beautiful AI. I just ask the question and I want the answer. And by the way, all I have to do is tell my AI what I want the UI to look like, and it's going to do it. So, they're not going to care that your company spent $5 million redesigning the UI. They're not going to care. Why would they? They're more interested in what the AI can do. But that doesn't, it's just like I said before with the factory, it doesn't mean that those things are going away. So it's just changing. And I'm not advocating for AI. I'm not advocating for data center. All I'm saying is I see why people are saying, my God, we got to have data centers. And other people are saying, hey, you're taking our farmland and all that shit. And I agree with that. I don't want to see farmland turned into a data center. I'm just saying this is why it's happening, so that you can understand. But there's such a demand. Security. This is another thing. These guys that know what they're talking about, they're coming to me and they're asking my opinion about security, because with AI, we're not even going to need security. No. It's the exact opposite. If a young person come to me and said, I want a career in computer science, I would say learn AI and learn about security, because you have low-level people that 2 years ago would not be allowed to even push something to a live customer or something. Now they are, but they don't fully understand what they're doing, and AI put it together. Oh, but it doesn't meet security standards. So an audit will come along and say, my God, it has to be redone. And so a lot of these software companies, they're achieving a lot with their AI, but they're also constantly redoing it because their stuff is becoming hackable and everything else. So now let's talk about, that's kind of where AI is. The only people AI is replacing is people who are in the computer science area, and like I am, and they don't learn it. I'm not advocating for AI. I'm just stating the facts. You can have your own emotional opinion about it. I'm not telling you what to think about it. I'm just throwing it out there. Why do we need data centers? Why is it coming up? Because people are processing so much more information, and there's some downfalls too, because people are communicating now, and they're using their AI person A is using AI to communicate to person B. And sometimes the forms are almost there's too much information there, and person B, by the time they get done reading the article that was just sent to them, they don't even remember what the fuck they started reading anymore. So they put it into their AI. And so basically what you end up with is A and B, their AI is communicating back and forth, and person A and B at the end of the day are going, gee, I wonder what the fuck happened today. I don't even know. So they're having their AI type up in a day reports and stuff like that. And then people are creating their own apps. I've seen previews where, two guys are at a job and they're just like, hey, I created an app to do my job. And somebody else said, so do I. Do you want to go down and get some coffee? Sure. Meanwhile, their computer's chugging away. That's true, however. So a person had a responsibility of doing A, B, and C. And they don't even know. They used to have all these formalities that they would go through. They don't even know where it is anymore. They use Codex or Claude or whatever, and it's reaching out there. They don't even know where this stuff lives anymore. And so if they're gone and they have this little app on their hard drive, then somebody else will be like, oh, they're gone, I'm going to do their job today. Well, what did he do? Well, I don't really know. Well, where did he go to do it? Well, I don't even know that either. He just said he had an app. And now a lot of the formalities are being lost, and that's a problem. And you're going to need somebody to reel it back in. Security, oh yeah, security is going to be big in the future. In my opinion, cybersecurity is going to be massive. It's growing. It's growing big time. People are asking me this, okay, because of the job that I have, and I don't want to talk too much about myself personally. I know there's dangers in that, but I work in the computer science field, and I'm also a spiritual person, and some people think I'm the world's biggest hypocrite. That's fine. So let's just slow down and take a look at something. We started this off with energy can't be created or destroyed. Okay, it just transforms. Now, you and I I don't know how deeply I should get into this, but I'll just throw it out there. We've never been created, and we can never be destroyed. You say, wait a minute, this physical body, yes, the physical body, this, that. So, but the physical matter never goes away. So, yeah, but my thoughts do. Well, thoughts always come and go. They're like clouds in the sky. It's the observer, damn it. I can't stress this enough. I also had a conversation about somebody who doesn't believe in God. And I find that incredibly fascinating. Somebody's honking down the street. They can't even see me. I'm in my backyard. But you are your awareness. Okay, you can't. Your thoughts is a thing. Your thought is a thing. Your brain does not create awareness. Awareness comes first. Awareness is the field of everything. Everything is awareness, or God if you prefer. Then a thing appears inside of awareness. So it can't be the thing that's creating awareness. No, it's the exact opposite. The problem is we see each other as individuals, and you say, just like this job, the job of the person who puts out the candle lights every night or something in the city, they're going to go away or whatever. They're going to learn a new job. They're going to be needed somewhere else. So it's just like that with our physical bodies. Our physical body might die. I hate to use the word die because it suggests that it was once alive. But it's your awareness. Well, is AI the devil or something? AI is not aware. AI is incredibly intelligent, and it just has thoughts. Does AI have thoughts? Yes, absolutely. Do you and I have thoughts? Yes, absolutely. What's the difference? Awareness. Awareness is the difference. So back to the thing about where somebody says, I don't believe in God. Can you prove God exists? Well, in an indirect way, in my opinion, a very direct way, but for their sake, I'll give a concession. For their sake, yes, I can, but let me light this up again and then I'll tell you. People say, this is another conversation I've been having, and how do you know God exists? Where do you think your awareness comes from? What do you think God is? Okay, so people have this misconception, and we can get into Antichrist stuff too, and I will. Your awareness is God's awareness. Moses asked God, who are you? What's your name? Or what's your name? And God replied, I am. The burning bush replied, I am. I think technically in the NIV it says, I am that I am. Or in today's language, simply put, I am. I don't need my glasses right now. But all of us start off with, I am Jim. I am happy. I am Sally or whatever. But it all starts with that I am. But if you remove all those things, I am Jim, remove the Jim, and there's still I am. That's the awareness. People say, well, I'm my thoughts. I'm my voice in my head. Your head, that voice in your head, is an AI machine. It's constantly going from one thought to the next. You're the observer. You're the awareness of those thoughts. That's the real you. And when your body dies, the awareness remains. It's just no longer filtered. It's no longer filtered through this body. And this analogy, everybody's using this analogy, and I'm going to jump on the bandwagon and use it too. I don't like to because it's all over the place, but it makes sense. Think about the space in your house, the space in your neighbor's house or your apartment or whatever. And think about the space at your local Walmart and the space in the parking lot. Then there's a space on the other side of the world, blah, blah, blah. How many different spaces are there? One big space. So how many awarenesses are there? One. And we're going to get into the original problem of God then, because I have to now. We're getting there. So something could happen to your house. It could burn down. It could get hurt. It could burn down and be dead. But what happens to the space inside your house? It remains. It's untouched. Your soul can't be touched. Your soul can't be harmed. Oh, well, what is it? What when I die, do I become a soul, or what's going on? No, you already are a soul, or awareness. That's you're the observer. So when the house dies and a new house is built there, it's still the same space. The space is untouched. That's your awareness. That's your natural state. So now you see why God said his name was I Am, because he's not limited to a body. You can't, and this what frustrates me. I had this, I've also been having some spiritual, theological conversations with different religious leaders in the community. And at first they really like what I have to say, and then 15 minutes later they're ready to throw me out by my ear. And they're like, gee, that went bad. What happened? It's because they think that God is, you can point to God and say, over here, look over here. Now we're getting in, when Jesus said, hey, look over there, there's the kingdom of God. Here it comes, there's the kingdom of God. No, you can't point. God is not a separate being living on a cloud, holding a scepter, stroking his beard. What's to be done with all these sinful people? No, you can't. There's nowhere you can go to see the totality of God. Jesus said, the kingdom of God is in you, in your heart. So God is not a separate being. So you've heard of the hard problem of consciousness. I like to say, the hard problem of God. And you're going to have to allow me a lot of concessions, because I'm going to have to use time expressions to explain this, because I'm filtered through these five senses just as you are, and we're talking about things that are beyond these five senses. So here we go. Imagine you're God, and you're sitting in all of eternity, and it's just you, and it can never be anything more than you. What are you going to do? You're just going to sit there? You're going to go out and create others. Just like when you dream at night, you create others in your mind, and you give yourself dissociative identity disorder. And now all of a sudden, you don't have to just sit there in nothingness. You can have a conversation, and you don't know what the other person's going to say, because just like in your dream, somebody scares you, or your favorite baseball player hits a home run. It's because you've given yourself dissociative identity disorder. When you wake up, who played the role of the baseball player? You did. So nothing can be created or destroyed. If you're worried about the job market, I don't know your specific. You might have a specific situation. Okay, I don't know. I'm just saying. He said, wait a minute. I'm the guy who makes a buggy whip. I'm very worried about my. Well, then yes, you might be very worried about your job, but it's going to be converted. I'm trying to bring this conversation back. You're going to be converted into doing something else, just like the energy at the power plant, okay? That's what I was talking about, the electromagnetic field. You're not creating energy, you're converting it to go from one thing to another. And that's what happens to all of us. Our awareness, it goes from one body to the next, all the while developing, maturing. Jesus said, I would love to be able to, my hobby is hot rod cars. I have 2 hot rod cars that I love very much. I'd love to take them with me in my next life. But what I take with me is the treasures in my heart. Okay? That's what Christ was saying. It's so blatantly clear. This is what you're saying, what Christ was leaning towards and trying to teach. He wasn't teaching religion. He was teaching this oneness, this non-duality, if you will. So My neighborhood's getting really loud. A lot of people out. The weather's nice. I hope I'm not picking up other voices. My neighbors are a little way off, but there's valleys and shit, and voices carry. So I hope my background thing is not picking them up. But so now I've squirreled myself, but actually I do need my glasses. I'm trying to make this a short video, and I think I'm way too late for that. But you know, listen, in my opinion, there's people, oh, 10 years from now, nobody's going to have a job. AI is going to be doing everything. No, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. And people are specifically talking about security right now. Hey, I think cybersecurity is a great field to get into. It's growing. I'm telling you, my boots are on the fucking ground, people. Computer science is what I do. It's what my degree's in. It's what I do. No. It's just like the guy who made the buggy whips. You know, if buggy whips is all you know and it's all you ever want to do, then yeah, you might be in trouble. But I was recently asked if I would hire somebody who had a nice degree in computer science but did not know anything about AI. And I said, if I was interviewing the guy and he had a nice degree, and I said, a young person out of college, and I'd say, what's your plans to implement Codex and do things and stuff? If they had no idea what I was talking about, I wouldn't hire them. But remember, I had drilled in my head when I was in high school that, you know, nobody's going to work in a factory. I had no desire to work in a factory. I ended up working in a factory and paid my way through school. I paid my own way through college. The owner of the company actually helped me out and paid for a couple computer classes at the time. Yeah, just to wrap this up, I'm going to wrap this up, guys. AI, I'm not advocating for it. All I'm saying is it's not replacing people. It's a powerful tool that people are figuring out how to use, just like when electricity came along, okay? Well, it's always been here, but when people were figuring out how to harness electricity, they're just like, my God, so many people aren't going to be needed anymore, you know, and so many people aren't going to be needed in the factory. What, are you kidding? There's people that work in a factory that have great freaking jobs. There's a factory here that has its own team of electricians. Let me say that again. There's two hummingbirds on the other side of the camera. I wish you could see them. This factory has its own team of electricians, okay? So yeah, it's changing. And I admit it, you know, it's a little scary, I guess, but if you understand it, and there's so much fear-mongering going on right now. I'm trying to squash the fear-mongering. And you can believe what you want, and please do. I'm not, at the end of this, I'm not saying, my God, believe what I'm saying. Believe what I'm saying or you'll go to hell. Heaven and hell are states of mind. They're not geographical places that you go to. Your awareness is God's awareness. It's always existed. It's never been created, and it can never be destroyed. Let me say that again. Your awareness is God's awareness. I'm not saying that you are God. I'm just saying, think about this. Your awareness is God's awareness. It's never been created. There was never a start time. It's never been destroyed. Back to the original problem of God. You know, you're sitting in eternity. What do? It's just like a dream. And what happens when somebody dies? Well, what happened when you wake up and a character in your dream, quote unquote, died? Are you worried about this character? Are you sad? No, it was you all along. That was a character that you played. And you can have another dream where you have that same character and that character develops. And then you get to a point where that character in your dream realizes who they are at their core is you, and you realize who you are. If everybody would just freaking get this understanding, like almost overnight, there would be no need for militaries, because, you know, when you understand this, and there are people that understand this and they use this knowledge to rule the world, and they don't want you and I to have this knowledge. They don't. This is their greatest fear. You know, am I putting a little bit on the line by even making this video? Yeah, I feel like I am. Shit, yeah. I could live a nice life in peace and quiet and keep this all to myself, but I'm not. I'm trying to help people. And I'm getting for saying these very things. I have gotten threats, people. But I keep speaking the truth anyway, because I got a big fat mouth and I want to help people. That's a lot to think about. It's been a power-packed 30 minutes. My intent was to make this a 10-minute video. My timer shows me I'm way over a half an hour. I'm gonna wind it up. There's a lot more to come. If I haven't earned your subscription yet, I hope this is the video that I earn your subscription. If not, that's okay. That's not my